All right, I'm waiting in line here for my Chick-fil-A, and as I'm waiting here in line, I thought I would weigh in on something related to the video that I recorded yesterday, because it sort of opened up the floodgates in a way that, in the sense that I hadn't really thought about these concepts in a while. The whole alpha beta versus sigma, the sigma omega continuum as an alternative to the alpha beta symbiosis, where the alpha and the beta are both buy into the system, both need one another.
Hello, Mr.
Hi.
Joe.
Yeah.
12-pound nugget deal with a medium sprite, 2 barbecues, Chick-fil-A sandwich, no pickles, a medium sprite, and 1 ketchup.
Yep.
All right, you all good to go. You have a great day, okay?
All right. There you go. Pretty efficient. Gotta admit, Chick-fil-A. So the alpha and the beta are in symbiosis. They reinforce one another. One cannot exist without the other. Whereas the sigma stands alone. He doesn't buy into the system. He doesn't want to be a part of the system. He neither wants to be the boss, nor does he want to take orders. He wants to just go off and do his own thing. The omega male, very similar to the sigma male, except that the omega male is has less allure. He's basically the same kind of attitude, but less allure. And again, I know simplifying everything to in this way to talk about people, everybody corresponding to some Greek letter, I know that it has its limitations, but that's just the disclaimer is that we are going forward talking about these subjects with the full awareness that this subject matter can only go so far, and some people take it way too far and think that it's everything. But alpha and beta live in symbiosis with one another. Both are successful. Again, reinforcing what I was saying yesterday, correcting the notion that the beta is somehow a non-successful man. A beta is somebody who has succeeded at being a good provider. A lot of the men in my family are beta men, in the sense that they have good jobs, they have successful careers, they worked very hard to get to where they were at. I have somebody in mind in particular about all this, and then performed extremely well at his tasks, and prospered, and was a success by all known metrics, but was not an alpha in the sense that he was not, the spearheader, or the one who took charge and felt the need to want to tell everybody else what to do. This was somebody who slid into a beta kind of position, which didn't mean that he was, I should correct this from yesterday. You could be a beta without it being degrading. If you have a good job, if you have a job where your boss treats you well and treats you with respect, then there's really no shame in being a beta in that circumstance at all. It's not like you're being forced to eat shit daily and just having to take it. Your boss is, he's still your boss, but he treats you with respect, and he takes your ideas seriously. So I wanted to paint that picture of the successful beta, and that is what I failed to become over the course of my professional life so far. And it's really, I'd have to say, my professional life, for all intents and purposes, is pretty much come to an end by this point. It's not that I'm not working anymore.
Mr. Joe?
Yes.
All right, here we go. How's it great day.
Thank you. So, it's not that I'm not working anymore. It's just that my prospects of ever working in the sort of professional field that I was once working in are very slim to none. And I talked about this in a prior video as well, but I'm not going to get all caught up in YouTube nuking my entire main page. Seems like I always come back to that, and I'm always just annoyed by it, and it is annoying, but that's not the subject here. That's not the issue here. Since I became a conspicuous thought criminal, I forfeited my chances of ever becoming a successful beta, somebody with a successful career like many of the men in my family have had. And I've more or less slid into the Omega role. I'm an Omega because like the Sigma, I have absolutely no desire to take orders from anyone. I'll do it, if under certain circumstances, if I have to, and if I were to find myself in a position with a boss who's a decent boss and who treats you well, treats you fairly, treats you with respect, I think I could be copacetic with that. So in that kind of circumstance, I could have maybe settled into beta hood, but that didn't happen, because most bosses aren't like that. Most bosses suck, in my experience. And the ones that I had weren't even like terrible. They didn't suck like the bosses in that movie Terrible Bosses that I can't believe I'm remembering right now. They weren't just awful, but they were bad enough to the point where I couldn't ever really adjust or acclimate to being their bitch, to put it hyperbolically. But I think that a lot of people who are in alpha positions, especially those who are not in particularly high alpha positions, they're alphas within their own framework, but then they have to report to higher alphas, like Michael on the Office having to report to his boss in corporate. That's something that comes to mind. It's kind of funny to think of Michael from the Office as an alpha, but that's a different story entirely. So I slid into. I basically became this Omega figure, and I think that sealed my fate and caused me to become who I am today. Am I sorry about any of the choices that I made? No, I'm not sorry about any of the choices that I made. I do wish that things could have worked out, because I think my marriage could have worked out if I had provided if I had been able to become the kind of provider that I know my wife was desiring. But all along that was very complicated too, and I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of all that. I'm frankly surprised I've shared as much as I have right here. I guess I hit a nerve with myself yesterday talking about this subject and felt like coming back to it, because it's like with all of this Sigma talk, in the last incarnation of this video, it got thousands of views, And I said, well, sigmas aren't going to likely be as successful with women as betas are, because a beta is a provider. He's a success story, contrary to the negative connotations that beta, the word beta has. He's a typical beta is a successful man. And so I was asking him, am I a sigma? And then people were saying, oh yeah, you're a sigma. Yeah, right. Yeah. It amazes me how everything so easily just degenerates into people taking pot shots and people getting nasty and wanting to put you down. It's just, things can get, pardon the expression, toxic here pretty easily. Especially when you've recorded a video that transcends, I guess, your normal viewership. So I had people making fun of me for saying that I was a sigma when I wasn't. I never claimed to be a sigma, but I also had people coming on and saying, well, I'm a sigma and I get all the pussy in the world, and you're wrong saying that sigmas don't get pussy, man. And it was like, everything relating to status, everything relating to all of the issues that, I was inveighing against, that I was saying, in order to be a real man, you have to cease to care about status, that status, the desire for status, the pursuit of status is going to be demeaning, will ultimately demean you, will ultimately degrade you. But all these people saying, well, I don't play the games of the alpha, but the alphas are I'm more alpha than the alphas are, and I get even more women than the alphas do. Because I'm a sigma and I don't give a fuck, but you obviously do give a fuck if you're having to come out and say how successful you are, and how much pussy you get. Sorry for using the crude language again, but that's the way these people talk. It's not how I talk, but I'm speaking their language right now when I'm talking in this way. So why am I bringing all of this up again? I guess just I'm realizing how I slid from being a possible beta. I couldn't become the beta because I couldn't. I just couldn't. I couldn't be the good company man. I always had this demeanor of, when I had a work life, I always just had this sort of demeanor of, I just come in, do my work, and and people thought, who is this guy? Why doesn't he talk to us? Why is he so quiet? Why is he so aloof? And it's like office politics, played their part. And then eventually, of course, the good old SPLC gave him a ring. This was after I had already lost the job. This is already after I was not returning the next year. I was just serving out my contract. So but they had to call in and say, do you know this Andy Nowicki? You know some of the things that he's written? You know some of the company that he's kept? So I got Gina Carano'd 6-7 years before Gina Carano got Gina Carano'd. Except I wasn't forced into obscurity with likely millions and millions of dollars, the way that she very likely has been. Not to say I justify what happened to her. I think it's terrible. So, but then I found myself sliding into the Omega role, where I wasn't, charismatic enough. I wasn't, alluring enough to be the Sigma. I was really thinking about who's the Sigma archetype, and Han Solo. Han Solo comes to mind. as the Sigma archetype, right? He's this wily, sexy, no homo, smuggler pilot. He's got a big price on his head because he doesn't play by the rules. He doesn't take orders from anybody but himself, and so that gives him this kind of allure. He's got this charm. He's got this charisma. I do not. I lack charm. I lack charisma, but I share the same disinclination to want to do any boss's bidding, and I also share the disinclination to want to be a boss. So I don't want to tell anybody what to do, and I sure as hell don't want to be told what to do. And so there I am, Omega male, which is not so bad. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, but maybe I should have thought twice about marrying before realizing that this was where I was likely headed. But then again, like Kierkegaard said, life has to be lived forward when it can be only can be understood backwards. And don't I know it now? Thanks for watching. My name is Andy Nowicki. You can check out my work at altrightnovelist.com.